The topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to Leadership for Life with Gina Gardner on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Join your host, who is a multiple #1 international best-selling author, motivational speaker, empowerment and transformational leadership coach and trainer. She's the founder of Genuinely-You and has 30 years experience of helping people step into their genuine, authentic power. And now, here is Gina Gardner, your host of Leadership for Life.
Hello there, and a huge welcome to today's show, Leadership for Life. You know, we've never needed great leadership more than we do now. There are so many people who are struggling in all sorts of areas of their life. You know, I went shopping this morning. I'm in the UK, for those of you that don't know, if you can't tell from my accent, and prices have gone up hugely. People are struggling financially. And when people talk about prosperity, usually their first focus is on finances. But it's my belief that prosperity is much broader than that. It's around your relationships. It's about the relationship you have with you, how happy you are. It's about how much you're able to live in the moment and how much you worry about the past and you're anxious about the future. But I want to make it clear that financial prosperity is also incredibly important. But if you just focus on the lack of financial prosperity, we've talked before about the fact that you set up a vibration of lack, and anything that you focus on, anything that you concentrate so hard seems to just grow. And so today's show is all about creating infinite prosperity in your life, across the whole of your life. Having holistic infinite prosperity would mean that you were living the best life. And that's entirely possible. And I've got a great guest today, and I'm really pleased to be able to introduce to her in the second part of the show. And that's Dawna Campbell, who's known as the Mind Whisperer. Interesting, isn't it? How so much comes from our minds. And yet how important it is to recognize that despite the title of human being, most of us focus on being human doings and forget the being bit. I know it's been a big part of my journey. I am a recovering workaholic. There's been no alcohol involved, but certainly workaholic. And work for me was great pain control, physical pain, particularly following the ski accident and failed back surgery. And pain is something I live with constantly. And I find that when I lose myself in my work, then I don't feel that. I also use work when I'm bored or lonely or fed up. And whilst that's a strength at one level, it can very quickly become something which is destructive, certainly destructive of your health. And so for me, the journey, particularly over the last 15 years, has been to step into my beingness. And that's an interesting concept, isn't it? Because I was brought up with a hugely strong work ethic. In fact, if I was feeling fed up, or I would say to my parents, I'm bored, they say, go and do something useful. Ideally, go and do something for someone else. And it was great advice. But in the quietness, in the being comfortable about being with oneself, is where such power lies. The opportunity for us to tune into our intuition, to have a greater connection with Source, and whether you call Source universal wisdom or God or whatever it works for you. That can only happen when we let go of all of the white noise that's going on in the world. And you just think about it. I met a really good friend, and she's going to be on the show in a little while. We met because she came on exchange to my school. Now, she lives in Canada, and my deputy went and took over her life for a year, and she came to live here. And just before she was due to arrive, my deputy had already gone to Canada to enjoy the summer holidays. I got an email from my deputy, Wanda, saying the flat that I've arranged for her won't be ready for 6 weeks. Well, that left me with a problem, because in those days there was no such thing as Airbnb, and it would have been expensive, and she was expecting to come in and move into her flat. So I met her at Heathrow Airport, and my first conversation with her was, I'm really sorry, you can't go into your flat. You're going to have to come and live with me for 6 weeks because your flat's not going to be ready. Now, at that time, I was living with my parents, saving up a deposit to buy my own house. And my parents had agreed, my parents were great like that, agreed that she could come and join me. But she said, but there's a problem, because I've invited my sister to come for 3 weeks and she's coming in 3 days' time. It's too late to cancel it. She's got a flight and she's packed and she's ready to go. So the two of them came and stayed at my parents' house with me for Reed for 6 weeks, and her sister Alison for 3. And we had a great time, and we've been friends ever since. We're talking about 35 years. And she came and stayed for 10 days with me. She went home she left me to go to some other friends yesterday. And we were talking about prosperity. And one of the things that I recognized is, particularly after the pandemic, when life had been a little hard and hadn't seen many people, although we'd had Zoom and phone call. And one of the things that we did hugely over the last 10 days, apart from drinks and bubbles, which was very nice, was to laugh. And we laughed a lot. And I recognized that for me, that's a sign of a prosperous life, that when you can be with good friends, that you can enjoy one another's company with huge confidence, and you can laugh. And I think we undervalue that the elements that make us prosperous, many of them cost nothing. Kindness, humor, love, compassion. They don't need to cost anything. Gratitude. And for me, they are all elements of what I call a holistically prosperous life. We're going to explore the Mind Whisperer's approach to a prosperous life after the break, but I just want you to think about your own life. And there are likely to be challenges. We all have challenges in our life. There are likely to be things that you think, oh, it's all right for them. They can do this, that, or the other. But how are you presenting moment by moment in your life? Do you look for solutions? Or are you a problem dumper, that, everything is a problem and that you moan and complain and hand it over to somebody else? And that keeps you stuck being a victim. Or are you somebody who's got true control of your life, in the sense that whatever happens, you know that you'll manage it, and that you know that it's not the challenge that defines you, but what you do with it? Because the reality is there's very little that's in our absolute control other than us. And that's one of the founding tenets of leading your own life, being the leader of your own life, is that you take radical responsibility for how you turn up moment by moment. Remember, you're the common denominator. I make no apology for going on about this, because when you do take radical responsibility for yourself and you recognize that patterns of behavior, habitual patterns, are great when they are positive, and when they're positive, they lead to a prosperous life. Or when they're negative, they can be incredibly destructive, not just for you, but the people who you live with and the people that you work with. Are you aware of the patterns that you use? Patterns of thinking, emotion, language, and behavior? Or are you one of the 95% of people who go through disastrous relationship after disastrous relationship, always thinking it's about the other person, rather than thinking, how am I turning up? What is it that I am being and doing that's making the difference? Now, I know that so much comes as an accident of birth. Some people are very fortunate that they land in a loving family that's got enough to eat and that money is not a constant worry. And I just want to make it very clear, I do recognize hugely that there are many people who are struggling to put food on the table, to heat the house, particularly with the huge energy bills that have just come through, certainly in the UK. And our inflation, I heard on the news this morning, is running between 7 and 10%, unprecedented since the 1940s and 50s. That people will see that, go into the supermarket and see that their money isn't going as far, that it costs more to put petrol in their car or to heat their house, and they're having to make hard choices. But I do believe the way in which we approach this, our mindset, and we're going to be talking to the mindset queen after the break, can make a huge difference. When you're the leader of your own life, then you lead in a way that really underpins you being happy, successful, and fulfilled, and living a prosperous life. So don't go away. After the break, I'm going to talk to Dawna Campbell about the infinite, my mind's gone blank, infinite prosperity, and how you can achieve that for yourself and for your loved ones. Don't go away.
You have been listening to Gina Gardner on Leadership for Life. We'll be back after this quick break. Want to get the best out of life personally and professionally? Are you ready to step into a life which excites and fulfills you? Well, the right place for you is Leadership for Life with Gina Gardner on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. We will share with you stories from inspiring people, a wide range of guest experts, and lots of practical strategies to help you get the very best out of your personal and professional life. Leadership for Life is a radio and TV show focused on helping you live a happier, more successful, and fulfilling life. Join international best-selling author, motivational speaker, empowerment and transformational leadership coach and trainer, Gina Gardner, live every Thursday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Become the leader of your own life. Gina Gardner's #1 international best-selling book, Thriving Not Surviving, The 5 Secret Pathways to Happiness, Success, and Fulfillment, provides you with the foundational principles on which to become the best leader of your own life. It's available as an ebook, paperback, hardback, and as an audio from genuinely-you.com, or also from Amazon. Every one of the principles have been proven to work for the countless people who have used them, including the author. Now, let's put them to work for you. If you're ready to discover your true leadership life design, accelerate your journey with an invitation to join Gina for a Leadership for Life VIP Day. Choose your journey of self-discovery where Gina will help you navigate your way to happiness, success, and fulfillment. To find out more, email gina@genuinely-you.com. Welcome back to Leadership for Life. Here is your host, Gina Gardner.
I'm really thrilled to be able to introduce Dawna Campbell to you. Let me tell you a little bit about her. She's known as the Mind Whisperer, combining her past knowledge, wisdom, and experience to assist her clients in creating and restoring a life of happiness, prosperity, and love. As a former financial advisor, her book, Financially Fit, Living the Secrets to an Abundant and Prosperous Life, is a #1 international bestseller. Her personal, heart-centered healing philosophy is to create a world that's a better place for all to live. So, without more ado, I'd like to introduce to you Dawna Campbell.
Hi, thank you
Hello
for
there.
having me.
Oh, you're so welcome. I'd like to start by asking if you'd give our viewers and our listeners just a short introduction to how you've got to this place. You know, what's happened in your life to bring you here.
Yes, absolutely. Formerly, I was a financial advisor and a managing principal of an investment firm. And I was responsible for $500 million of other people's money.
Just say that again, because I think it's a mind-boggling amount.
Yes, $500 million of other people's money. That's $500 million,
Wow.
really.
And that's a lot of
That's a
responsibility.
lot of, yes. So that worry, that pressure, the stress, it broke down my health. I could not digest food for over 2 years. And
Goodness
then
me.
my marriage ended after 14 years when I learned of the infidelity of my husband at the time. And then
Right.
I followed all the money rules. And as a single parent raising 2 small children, I was left financially devastated. So that was when I knew there was something more to life than the outskirts of how to create a financial plan and budgets and investments to put it all together to get ahead in life.
Whilst there are elements of your story that are exceptional, $500 billion is
Yeah.
mind-blowing. There are so many people who find themselves having lived a comfortable financial life, living a very uncomfortable life in other areas, and
Yes.
then suddenly find themselves financially devastated.
Mhm.
What
Yes.
do you think gave you the courage to actually pick yourself up and to look, I'm going to do something different?
Yeah. There was a moment, this was probably the lowest moment of my life, was when I was in a partnership with another person, and it was a spiritual partnership. And we had left living from the spiritual community we were in. And after 2 years, he became domestically violent towards me. And there was one day he had his hand around my throat and cut off my airway. And just before I took my last breath, he took his hand off and expected me to retaliate, which I couldn't. It's not in my nature. So I said no, and I walked out, and I walked out forever. What that taught me, he since then has crossed over. He died of cancer. It taught me that I'm worthy to live this life, and I'm worthy to live it abundantly and prosperously. And as I shared my story, I have an individual healing practice today, a private practice internationally. And I wanted to take it to the global level. And as I started sharing elements of my stories, I realized my story is very common in the world and we're all connected. So if I can use this and these techniques that I have to become financially fit in the mind, the heart, which is then turn returns the abundance and prosperity we're meant to have, it also affects all other areas of your life. So your relationships improve, your financial situation improves, your health improves, because it's all interconnected, because it's the emotional energy underneath what we're thinking that gets stuck in the subconscious. And when that shifts and changes, you have unlimited abundance and instant creation, and money can come to you instantly, relationships, your health, all of it. And so if I have these gifts, then I'm meant to share it with the world and do that. So I'm on a mission to create the world a better place. Otherwise, why am I here?
Well, I think we have very similar missions, but I think our approach may be a little different. But I think that we are both here to help others recognize that they're the leaders of their own life and that they can have it all
Yeah.
if
And
they
at the
choose
same
to.
time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I understand the real bleakness of where you came from.
Mhm.
And you say you have the tools. So how did you develop these tools? You from a time when you've walked out on an abusive relationship,
Yeah.
there will be the healing's not instant. How did you move from that place to creating and
Mhm.
developing tools that help you to heal, that then developed into tools that you could use with others?
Well, first, when I wasn't able to digest food, and the medical community here, Western medicine, they weren't able to discover what was wrong with me because they were looking for something physical. But my problem
Right.
was emotional, which is what broke down my digestive system. So I found a naturopathic doctor. She did some oriental medicine and said to me one day, Dawna, there's something in the outside world that you can't digest, so you're not digesting food on the inside. But don't worry, it'll just naturally surface. Don't go looking for it. And as I started to heal, within 3 months, it surfaced and I realized what I was blind to see. And then after all of that sorted itself out, I realized all of those years I was digesting anger, which destroyed my digestive system. So that was the start. But then the universe, as it works, kept putting people in my pathway to keep encouraging me to move forward. So I studied under a Buddhist monk. When I was going through that really low point in my life of domestic abuse, I was studying with a medicine woman who taught me how to shift and change energy instantaneously. I studied with yoga healers who taught me how to go into an energy of no thought to witness this for other people. So it's just been a combination of people who have blessed my life and had shared their gifts for me to put this together. And now when I work with clients, usually in the same day, maybe in the next couple of days, the results we're looking for start to surface. So it's an instantaneous change in the body, and then the new energy filters out and magnetically attracts back the new experience because we reprogrammed the subconscious from what was stopping you from having what you wanted to the energy that allows you to have it. And the majority of what I learned was from that medicine woman. Her name was Leandra. She has a name, but she looked like Mrs. Doubtfire instead of an
Oh, wonderful.
lady. So I just call her the medicine woman.
How wonderful. You know, as you were talking, I thought how many phrases that we have in common use, you know,
Yes.
I just swallowed it. And you can, people getting angry and frustrated and just tamping it down.
We sweep it under the carpet.
Yeah. And how damaging that is over time, whether it, you know, I work a lot with people around, you know, previous relationships which have been toxic. And the power of forgiveness, you know, often talk about, you know, holding on to that is like taking the poison yourself and expecting the other person to die. And you are a very great example of how, first of all, how our emotions impact so much on our physical and mental health, but then knowing that there is a way out of it. And I think for so many people, there is this sense of, I can't escape this. And you're absolute inspirational proof that you can.
Yes, absolutely. It's all changeable. And anything that got created can be discreated and recreated new every single time.
So for people who are listening to this and perhaps not familiar with energy work, the thought that things can change that swiftly, I would think that many of them are poo-pooing it and saying, you know, hocus pocus, pink and fluffy, it's never going to work. Could you give us some examples of the sort of things that you've worked with and how it's worked out?
Yes. I think Nikola Tesla said it best. He was a great physicist. If you want to know the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, vibration, and frequency. And we as people are those things. We're electromagnetic beings. And we have thoughts, which are energy and frequency. But underneath that is an emotion or feeling that gives it the fuel to attract or not attract into your life. So what I do as a mind whisperer is I help pinpoint what that emotion or feeling is, where it got stuck in your life, what event it got associated with, and where it's at in the body. And then we change it to what was needed at that moment. So when that changes, you feel a difference in the body, especially in the area where you originally felt it. And when we go back and revisit those events, you see it from a different point of view, a different perspective, and you know that it changed because the old energy is no longer there. So where does it work? It works on everything as long as you have a belief that there is an energy or a higher power out there that can move and make things better in your life. So I have a client who is breast cancer free now for over 5 years, doctor verified by using this method, because we shifted and changed the energy that the cancer was holding on to. So if cancer is resonating here and she matches, it's a direct correlation. It will come into your life. But if you elevate your vibration, the cancer doesn't elevate and it has no choice but to leave because it's no longer in your life. So cancer, health-wise diabetes, anything with bone issues, all of the different digestive systems, the endocrine system, the cardiovascular, the respiratory, anything that falls within the human body, it works because we're changing the emotional vibration. So then it changes the density of the body. Spiritually, financially, relationship wise, all of those categories. One client wanted to have more money. And he was frustrated by not creating the more. Well, it went back to a time when his parents got divorced. Instead of having one household of plenty of money, it got divided into two.
Mm.
Each family was comfortable, but they didn't have the extra. Well, he created a pattern. He didn't have the extra. So when that
Wow.
changed, now he was able to create the extra and do the things he wanted to do with his family because that emotional component was different. He wasn't frustrated. He had a sense of pride with what he was doing.
That's just amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I know that your mission is to make a positive difference in the world.
Yes.
But I said to you, I could wave a magic wand and
Yeah.
your dream for your life would come true. What is that for you?
Oh my goodness. Um, I've been on this mission to take my healing practice from that private individual level to the global stage. And one of the ways that I've been doing this and this shift is through the Mentor Studio. But ultimately, what I do for one person, I can do for groups simultaneously. So if there could be a magic wand that was waved, it would be standing on that stadium in front of 5 or 10,000 people watching and witnessing every single person heal simultaneously for those that are open, ready, willing, and able, and leaving that event a better person. Because if I can do it for one person, I can do it for that many people simultaneously. And then with that whole ripple effect, how much faster can we affect the world to really create it a better place? So ultimately, in the end, that's one of my dreams to be able to do that and then take it into other places where they may not have access to these resources. And I often see myself in villages in different countries sharing these gifts and techniques of how to do this so that they can have the healing as well.
That's an amazing mission. And I know from my own work that every person that you impact positively or negatively, for that matter, but every person you impact, it's like a stone being thrown into a pond. It ripples out to the people they spend time with. So, and we need it. I mean, the world needs such change at the moment. But you mentioned the Mentor Studio, and I know I've only just joined the Mentor Studio. So tell the people who are watching and listening what that's all about, if you
Yes.
would.
The Mentor Studio is a network of a global community of people who mentor. It's a little bit different than coaching because it's ongoing. And we have available the resources, the education, the mentors, no matter what profession you are in, that will help guide you and mentor you in your area of business because they have already done it. And it's all about leaving a legacy and passing it along. So where I have been on a speaking journey, I work a lot more with Michael Silvers, Mary Glorifield, and they put different speakers on different stages. So I do work a lot in that as well as professional development, putting together my products and sales funnels. But because I have been mentored, then you take that and you mentor others that come after you to keep passing it along. So it's all about enriching, enlightening, and educating our mentors' experience because we really want to make an impact in the world and keep this going so everybody can be elevated and uplifted.
Well, I joined it recently after having met you and talked to you and gone to one of their individual introductory meetings, because for me, being able to help other people pass the baton on, if you like, play it forward is a very important part of who I am, really. And I think there are many people out there who undervalue the expertise and experience that they have developed through their life and through their business that would help other people, navigate particularly those early years, which are so challenging, and save heartache and energy and money and time. So it seems to me a really worthwhile thing to do.
Absolutely.
So tell us a bit more about how the mental studio actually works in practice.
Mhm. So we have over 300 digital live events that we fill speakers for. We have podcasters. So we have an MC program. So anything that goes with the event, production wise, we get to learn how to do that. We have digital, we have live. And then we come together each week for our training. So we know the different aspects of what to do, how to do it, how to present it. Just recently, I took all of the things that I learned from my fellow mentors, from Michael, from Mary, and put it together. In this last weekend, I had an opportunity. I was at a large stadium event and they did a breakout room. And the promoter was standing next to me and needed to go back up onto stage to close to enroll people into a different membership. And I volunteered myself to do it. So I had 30 seconds of prep time, but I went up there and I shared my story and why I was also involved in this particular event. And we netted over just about $500,000 in the 7 minutes that I was on stage with the people enrolling into the program. So that's a very good skill set to have. Now, I would not have been able to do that if I wasn't prepped and prepared through the mentor studio after receiving all of that training. And, I came from a very exclusive community where I had the products already made for me at certain price points. I didn't have to think about any of that. I
Yeah.
just had to enroll people. But when you go into product development yourself, I had to know what to create, what price points, what a business funnel was. I didn't even know. I had to ask. I was really confused. I didn't even know what a mastermind was or how to network. And so those were all some of the professional skills that I gained over the last year to move myself, my business forward so I can share and expand the market that I want to reach to really make that impact.
So if somebody's interested in joining that, what do they need to do?
The easiest way is either email me at dawnacampbell.com and just say that you're interested in knowing more about the Mentor Studio. You can just go to the Mentor Studio website, thementorstudio.net, look and see, and there's a join button there. And you're also welcome to go to our complimentary Facebook community to learn even more. And when you do that, you get invited to some of the events complimentary, so you get the look and the feel of how it works.
It's a great organization offering, I think, a really good service, because more and more people have decided to leave the corporate world and set themselves up as entrepreneurs and business people. And yeah, the statistics are, I think, that a vast number of businesses fail in the first 5 years. And so belonging to something like this can make a real difference. But I don't want to hijack this interview with the Mentor Studio. I thought it was important that people knew about it because I think it's really powerful. Let's come back to you and your healing. There'll be many people who are listening to this, watching this, for whom the principle of energy vibration is quite new. How would you explain that in terms of creating and developing prosperity? Why is it so important that the vibration and the frequency are the right ones?
Yes.
And you've talked about the healing, but having healed, how do you advise people to maintain that moving forward?
Right. Well, what I do as a mind whisperer is I reprogram your subconscious brain. So, in order to maintain it after you go through the process, you don't have to do anything. The new reprogramming is already there. Your brain is the fastest supercomputer out there, and that's like the hardware. And then what we do is we go in and we upgrade the software to run a different program. And so that's how it works that way. We are electromagnetic beings. You can look in physics, you can look in science. There's a lot of great many authors out there. I'm a total physics nerd, I'll admit that. And we'll share and explain how it works with the human body because it's all measured by scientific instruments. So electrically, we have energy that runs up and down our body, and we have these energy centers that allow the energy to move in and out, which creates an energy field around us. In the metaphysical world, they'll talk about it as an aura, but a lot of people will just say it's the energy field around you. Now, in that energy field, it will magnetically attract back what you're feeling. Our thoughts are about 10% of our reality, and how we feel is about 90%. Well, that 90% is stronger, so it's going to attract back what you're feeling. So, how and why is this important in the world of finance? Well, oftentimes we think thoughts, which is the law of attraction. I'm rich and abundant. I'm going to win the lottery. And that's that 10% reality in the mindset. But in the heart set, you might feel less than or not enough or who am I and a lack energy in 90% of you. So in that 90%, what happens then is that's what goes out that energy field through the law of magnetics and attracts back that, not what you're thinking up here, I'm rich and abundant. So what we do through that reprogramming of the subconscious mind is we find those energies, what events they got stuck to, and reprogram that part of the subconscious brain to accept something higher, what was ever needed in the moment. Just like the client example, he needed to accept pride and not frustration.
Yeah.
And when that recoding takes place, you align how you feel in the heart space with the mindset, and you get results 100% of the time. And then your relationships improve, your health improves, your financial situation improves. And a lot of the words that we use to describe ourselves as an essence or as an energy being are the same words we use in the financial world. So my clients, they would get to the heart of the issue. They would say, I want to know that I'm worthy, or that I was enough, or I was valued and appreciated when they were little because they didn't receive that. Well, those are the same words we use in the financial planning world. Your portfolio value is your assets appreciated. Your net worth is this. Oh, do you have enough money to fund XYZ goal? And if you didn't feel enough on the inside, chances are you didn't have enough on the outside. But when you do, and you do feel valued and appreciated in that deeper part of the subconscious, then exponentially the money supply always increases. So it's about being in the right energetic frequency after the reprogramming, and then it will happen automatically. So when you hold certain thoughts, you realize the negative connotations that used to be there aren't. So then you can magnetically attract back even more than what you did.
And can I ask, I mean, that's amazing. Can I ask, are the principles of this within your book?
Yes. Everything's in the Financially Fit book of how the concept of this works. And then I do have a Financially Fit program. It's a 2-day course and a membership that adds in a lot of bonus features with it. That includes the course, the book, and everything, because I can teach how to do this if you don't want someone to do it for you.
And again, where would people find you?
DawnaCampbell.com would be the easiest way to find me. And on there, you will see there's the Financially Fit book, the Financially Fit program. And then the other place, if you want to get connected to all of the social media, it's DawnaCampbell.net. And that will connect you to everything in social media.
Brilliant. Now, every guest that comes on the show, we invite them to choose a project through B1G1, Buy One, Give One, which is an amazing organization. I love it because there are two very separate charities, one which raises the money to run the charity. So when you give through B1G1, every penny or cent goes to the projects, and they're well vetted, and you know that they are going to be well run. And they're designed for businesses to give. So they break their projects down into what they call impacts, so that they're very affordable. And if people use my code, then I get to hear, I don't get anything other than the information of how much I have influenced the opportunity for other people to give. So the 4 projects that there are this month are clean water, feeding the hungry, education, and supporting a charity that's helping children in the Ukraine. Which would you like us to donate to on your behalf?
Oh my goodness. I would have to go to feeding children in poverty, because that's my personal part of my own story, because of how I grew up. So, and I support charities that do that. So I would choose that.
Brilliant. And we'll donate that on your behalf. Now,
Mhm.
every 100 people who listen to either the live show or the download, we give a free meal to. So just by listening to the show or watching the show, you can be helping people through B1G1. So please do spread the word if you are listening or watching. And I'd love to be in a situation where, there are so many people that I'm having to go, oh, that's going to be too much. That would be wonderful. Thank you so much for joining me on the show today, Dawna. It's been an absolute pleasure, and you've given people such a lot to think about. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Oh, it's been brilliant. Don't go away. Got a short break, and then we will finish the show after that. So please join me again after the break. Thanks, Dawna.
Thank you.
You have been listening to Gina Gardner on Leadership for Life. We'll be back after this quick break. Want to get the best out of life personally and professionally? Are you ready to step into a life which excites and fulfills you? Well, the right place for you is Leadership for Life with Gina Gardner on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. We will share with you stories from inspiring people, a wide range of guest experts, and lots of practical strategies to help you get the very best out of your personal and professional life. Leadership for Life is a radio and TV show focused on helping you live a happier, more successful, and fulfilling life. Join international best-selling author, motivational speaker, empowerment and transformational leadership coach and trainer, Gina Gardner, live every Thursday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Become the leader of your own life. Gina Gardner's #1 international best-selling book, Thriving Not Surviving, The 5 Secret Pathways to Happiness, Success, and Fulfillment, provides you with the foundational principles on which to become the best leader of your own life. It's available as an ebook, paperback, hardback, and as an audio from genuinely-u.com, or also from Amazon. Every one of the principles have been proven to work for the countless people who have used them, including the author. Now, let's put them to work for you. If you're ready to discover your true leadership life design, accelerate your journey with an invitation to join Gina for a Leadership for Life VIP Day. Choose your journey of self-discovery where Gina will help you navigate your way to happiness, success, and fulfillment. To find out more, email Gina at genuinely-u.com. Welcome back to Leadership for Life. Here is your host, Gina Gardner.
There are so many things that we can do to help ourselves, and there are so many ways we can sabotage our life. And I just wanted to spend the last few minutes of this show really talking to you about some things that you might find useful to try. It's so challenging when your life seems to be out of control, when there's so much going on. But the things that I'm going to share with you are true for those people who've got a great life and just want it to be even better. I'd hate you to think that this show is just about putting things right when they're going wrong, because it isn't. It is about building on your success, and that's going to depend on where you are. But ultimately, the recognition that you are the leader of your own life and that the choice is yours makes such a difference. And I think recognizing that everything we do is a choice. Everything we think, feel, say, or do, how and when we do it, that is actually our choice. And one of the things that I do with clients is to ask them, what are your values? What are the things that are really, really important to you? And it's worth spending a bit of time writing those down. So it could be love or integrity, trust, courage. It could be beauty. There's no judgment about what it is. That's your choice. That's what's really important to you. And then choose your top 10 and put them in priority order. Now, I cheat a little bit, really, because there are what I call the umbrella values. So for me, under the umbrella of integrity will come trust, fidelity, honor, respect. And so you can choose whether you want those things separately. And it may be that that's important to you, or you can choose to do them with umbrella. So for me, love, compassion, care, kindness come under love, although I would put kindness as a separate one as well. So work out, what are your values? And then think about, what are the behaviors that you need to experience in order for you to feel those things and feel that they've been honored? And what are the things that you need to do in order for those to be honored in other people? And it's really important to recognize that the blueprint that you have for these things may not match the blueprint of other people. And so it's really worth having that conversation with your partner, your husband, your wife, your children. What's important to you? And recognizing, what are the behaviors that you need to experience in order for those things to be met? Then imagine that there is a horizontal line. And any behaviors, any thoughts, any emotional states that are above the line are absolutely in line with your values. The magic happens when you start to recognize that you are approaching the line, and ideally stop yourself going below the line. Below the line is when your behaviors, your thoughts, your language are out of alignment with your core values. And that's when you get into deep trouble. So, for example, if let's say trust is a really important value to you, then thinking about the behaviors that you are demonstrating, how often do you tell a lie? I talk very much about my BS meter. We are very good at kidding ourselves. And so if trust and honesty is important to you, then recognizing your own BS is more important in many ways than recognizing the BS of others. And you can recognize when you're going below the line, and the idea is to do whatever needs to be done or thought, or how you're operating to get you back above the line as quickly as possible. Now, it may sound complicated, but it's not. Above the line, you are in line with your values. You are behaving in a way that is absolutely true with your moral compass. Below the line, you're not. Now, if you're a boss or you're a parent, it's making sure that your team or your children recognize what behaviors they need to be engaged in order to be above the line. And when the line, knowing where the line is, where are the boundaries, where are the expectations? Because then the minute they tip below the line, you can say, you know what? I don't expect that from you. When we're here, this is how we expect you to behave. And of course, that needs to be communicated effectively and frequently. But doing it for yourself first is really important. Then you can do it with other people. Recognizing that when you take control of yourself, that you are going to impact hugely and positively on your life and on those around you, you will make such a difference. And I would say to you that being the leader of your own life means that you are the light, that you are the example, because being the leader of your own life means you have to be a great role model. So I hope you've enjoyed the show. We always love having you. Please do let us know what you think. Email me at gina@genuinely-u.com and let us know. If there are any themes you'd particularly like us to cover, I'd love to know, and we'll make sure that we do cover them. But in the meantime, be the leader of your own life. Take control of your life, not of other people, but of you. Take radical responsibility, be safe, and you'll find a huge difference. Thanks again for joining me. Bye-bye now.
You have been listening to The Leadership for Life with your host, Gina Gardner. Make sure you tune in to W4CY Radio and Talk 4 TV next Thursday and every Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time for more Leadership for Life. If you missed any part of this episode or just want to hear or see it again, you can find the archive of the TV show on Talk 4 TV's YouTube channel and the podcast of The Leadership for Life on iHeartRadio, Pandora, Spotify, Amazon Music, and wherever you listen to your podcast.